And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're receiving this information. My name is Rafael Vasquez, and this is your show, Líderes del Futuro. Today, we have the privilege and opportunity to speak with Gilbert Martinez, who is a communications specialist for the County of Sonoma. Gilbert, thank you for taking the time and speaking with us. Today, we want to talk a little bit about redistricting for Sonoma County. This is an item that is discussed and is decided every 10 years, which means whatever decisions recently were made will affect people in this community for the next 10 years. And one of the things that is really, really important for us is if you could tell us a little bit about some of the changes of people in the community as a result of this redistricting.
Yeah, of course. So obviously these maps went through a lot of reiterations, and we have new changes to these maps now. The biggest changes that we know of is after the census data, we received a lot of information, and we do know that District 3 and District 5 went through some of the more different changes that we've seen, particularly based with the Latino Latinx population. District 3's Latino citizen voting age population, for example, the percentage increased from 19% to 26%, whereas District 5 did go down from 18 to 13%. But these changes is what we need to get more equal representation, in particular with areas, when you have a Moreland and Roseland area who were annexed by Santa Rosa and not being represented by the same supervisor. So these are the changes that we see in these type of changes in the redistricting. So we're pretty excited that we are going to be receiving new maps for the next 10 years.
Definitely. And just confirming, has this been completely finalized? It was my understanding that December 15th was the deadline in order to be able for the county supervisors to vote on the new maps.
Yes, it is finalized. There's no more changes or that can be made. We were under a federal statute that this needed to be completed by the 15th. So we got pretty close to that finish line, but at the end of the day, it's final, and we are using this new map as early as our next election cycle.
Okay, and that would be again 2022. So it's important for people to become familiar with where they are in those maps. Is there a specific website that individuals should familiarize themselves? And is the website available in at least 2 languages?
Yes, people can go to sonomacounty.org under the redistricting, and it's available in English and Spanish. And all of the information that we use to come up with this map, all the press releases, all of the map, everything that went into making this decision can be found on that website.
Definitely. So it's important, again, people should feel comfortable in going and finding out where you ended up in as a result of the census and as a result of the redistricting program or process that was done. I know that we announced it on KBBF. I know that there were major announcements all throughout the county inviting the community to participate, and therefore these are the results of that. And then again, for people who are able to vote, you will need to go over there and check out who your new representatives are going to be, and again, how you're going to vote for the next elections. Is there anything else that the community should know in general about redistricting other than, again, it affects who is going to advocate for funding for their part of the county? That's essential. Often people don't understand that, again, depending who's your representative, you have the right to reach out to them and say, our roads are, in this repair, and this, there needs to be funding there so that they can advocate. We know that because of the fires, different, representatives from the supervisors would be in charge of that when the fires happened, for example, in the Hillsburg area. So we had one supervisor over there. When the fires happened in the west side, in the Groveville area, we had somebody else in charge of that. When the fires happened in Sonoma, we had somebody else completely different looking into it. So again, I think it's important for people to familiarize themselves. Is there anything else we should know?
Yeah, I mean, I know during the fires, we all really come together as a county, um, but individually and in districts, yeah, that supervisor is going to represent you in a lot of day-to-day decisions, a lot of day-to-day aspects of the county. So when we do these new lines and we get a different voting population for a certain supervisor, that can change as to what that particular district needs and wants, and who they elect to be a representation of them at the county level. So we want to make sure that people do understand that your district might have changed. It might not have, depending on where you live, but it's important to check where it is, which district you're in, so that when the election cycle comes around, you are aware of the candidates and you're aware as to who is actually eligible to run in your county. Because the addition of a new portion of a neighborhood into a district means that that entire neighborhood now is eligible to run for office. So again, it changes a lot. Um, for some, it might not change anything, but it's these redistricting lines are something that's necessary, and it's something that is essential to our process.
Definitely. So again, when we talk about equitable access to and equitable representation at the county level, this is why, or is part of why this redistricting is done. Again, there's going to be elections in 2022, and maybe you are now in a different district that may lead to you having to vote in 2022. So again, we invite you to familiarize yourself with this website. We invite you to go out there, take the time, educate your children if they are going to be voting in the next elections, and make sure they understand who represents them, where the county districts are, in order to be able to figure out who the representatives are as well. And so if you can just give us, Gilbert, the website once again, in order for people to feel comfortable and go out there and get that information.
Yeah, it's sonomacounty.org/redistricting. And again, you'll find all the information there, all the maps and everything else that went into creating this new redistricting map.
Definitely. And with that, we want to thank you for taking the time, being with us today. We want to make sure that, again, people start preparing for the upcoming elections in 2022, but also to know who to contact, in case their district line change, who to contact when they need something for that part of the community. So thank you for taking the time and being with us today.
Thank you for having me on.